Hi friends! Today's video is about effective interview techniques. And before I dive into that topic, I wanted to share with you a little bit of background. Many years ago, I learned about a learning method called the Slant Method. And the premise is that by following this method of learning, students get the most out of the classroom experience. And it's a simple mnemonic that is represented by the letters S.L.A.N.T. So the slant method of learning, and perhaps you've heard of this. The S stands for sit up, L is listen, A is ask questions, N is nod your head, and T stands for track the speaker. Well, I've thought about this learning method and have adapted it to apply to the interviewing process. The S stays with sit up, but I want to talk about that a little bit more because when we walk into the meeting room where we're going to have the interview and we see a chair in front of us, we don't really think ahead of time on how we should sit in that chair. We just sit down in it and be comfortable. Though I want you to be comfortable, I also don't want you to be too comfortable. So by sitting toward the end of the chair, the front of the chair, if you will, and staying only halfway back, not all the way back in the seat, it ensures you sit up in the conversation and sit up in the meeting. The L stood for listen, and I would like to add a second L and have that stand for lean in. Just a slight forward lean helps you show engagement in the conversation, certainly more so than leaning back. So lean forward just a bit to show the person you're speaking to that you are interested in what they have to say. A stands for ask questions, and very important in an interview is to think of some questions ahead of time that you would want to ask the hiring manager or the HR manager that you're meeting with. Perhaps there's something in the job description that wasn't completely clear to you, or maybe there's something about the company you would like to know more about. Ask that question and do your best to ask the question during the course of the interview, not wait to the very end. Most likely they will ask at the end if you have any questions, but in order to create a conversation, which is what you want the interview to feel like and will make both of you feel more comfortable, try to ask your question during the course of the interview if at all possible. N stands for nod your head. I think that probably goes without saying, but the idea of nodding your head is important in an interview because you want to express understanding. It's more important, though, when it's a video interview. In a video interview setting, which more and more often is happening, even in place of in-person interviews, the idea of nodding your head is essentially the only body language you have at your disposal. You can move your head, you can nod your head, you can show inflection or interest with your head. You really can't use your hands all that much in a video interview. So keep that in mind, that the one thing that you have the most use of in a video interview is your head. So be sure to use it to show engagement, interest, and awareness. And then finally, track the speaker. Well, in a classroom setting, this makes sense. To briefly explain, when the professor or the teacher goes one direction, you follow them with your eyes that direction. And when they move to the other side of the room, you follow them that way. This ensures that you're staying engaged in the learning. Well, in an interview setting, they're probably not going to move around that much. At least I wouldn't expect anyone to. So instead, I'd like the T to stand for take notes, but ensure you ask about that ahead of time and let them know that you would like to capture some notes. This affords you an opportunity to follow up. If there was something that came up that you couldn't answer on the spot, maybe you were able to follow up with it later. You won't be able to do that if you don't remember what was said, though. So take a moment to capture some notes on a piece of paper and just let them know ahead of time that you would like to do that. It's a rare exception when I hear of a person going through the hiring process and they are told that they can't take notes. It does happen, but very, very infrequently. So just be sure to ask ahead of time and then take some notes over the course of the interview. So remember the SLANT method, S-L-A-N-T, not only a great premise for ensuring effective classroom experience, but also effective interviewing as well. If you enjoyed this video, please take a moment to share your comments or share it with others. I would love to know your thoughts, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.